Oh, we're going to do that. Oh my god, yay.
While the leftovers are staying at the top of their game, although the twists that help big alliances are helping doing that, I don't want to take away from the acting performances of the leftovers, but we can't deny that this twist is making it much easier for them. Monty is the new head of household, and he's going to probably be trying to take the easy way out this week. And that's what a lot of today's video is going to be about. Some of the possible mess-ups from the leftovers, but also from the other side that continues to just suck at everything. Before we get to the leftovers, let's talk about Nicole and Jasmine and Alyssa and Daniel and Indy and how bad they are at this game still going into week 3 on this season. That their games continue to all revolve around their odd obsession and hatred and gross feelings about Taylor.
You want to know what hurt
all
me
they
the
were doing
most?
was securing that I was going to
Is
do
that we didn't know, but Taylor did.
That's what
me.
I'm fucking saying.
And she voted, right? She's on board.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what hurts me the most.
So moving forward,
That means that she knew over.
and that means they're working with her from here on
And
out.
there was
It really does seem like a lot of them are not really upset that Amira was voted out. They're more upset that Taylor knew that Amira was going to be voted out and that Taylor was on the right side of the votes. These people's games continue to revolve around Taylor, and it is literally a joke at this point. These players are, well, obviously a joke as players, but just a joke as people too. We have Indy becoming one of the #1 haters in the house because I guess she's kind of into Joseph and she doesn't like how much time Joseph has been spending with Taylor. I don't know what it is about the women on the season with their obsession with Taylor, but I guess if I was 31 like Indy and looked like I was in my 40s, I would feel some type of way too. And the thing is, I am a little bit older than Indy. I hope I don't look like I'm in my 40s. I just be saying stupid shit sometimes on these damn shows. But seriously, I hope I don't look like I'm in my 40s. I almost shaved today just so I wasn't Indy looking like I was in my 40s. So we have all of the women on the other side still hating on Taylor, obsessed where Taylor is in the house and how Taylor is in a better spot than them, which is hilarious, but also just both wrong and terrible and shows how terrible they are at these games. Of course, Nicole, not being in control, has had her spiraling.
And he's already been coming up to me saying, yo, we need to talk later. Bitch, you don't talk game. You do what people tell you to do.
He told you that today?
Yeah, he's like, yo, we gotta talk later.
On the
And I was
kitchen?
like, yeah.
When it was Eddie?
Yeah, and I was like, okay. Bitch, I tell you what to do.
Nicole's dumbass still thinks Joseph has no game. Her realizing that she chose Taylor in hopes that she would get Taylor out, but now Taylor might be on a better position than her if she's ever on the block, has Nicole freaking out hilariously. And then that brings me to the stalker, Alyssa. So the last time I posted a video, which was on Wednesday night, I focused a lot on Alyssa's psychopathy and her following Kyle around and her growing obsession with Kyle. And of course, Alyssa's upset that Taylor knew and Kyle didn't tell her. So Alyssa very upset with where she might stand with Kyle. But that night, Wednesday night, when I posted the video, after that, there was even worse offenses by Alyssa with her grabbing at Kyle's penis when Kyle is clearly uncomfortable with it. Hashtag he too, because he is getting sexually assaulted by this person in the house. It's similar to Brent and Hannah last season, where, you know, the dynamics of this game are you have to keep your social game so well, so you don't want to say you're uncomfortable on a human level, on a sexual level with some of the people in this house, brings upon some of the problematic nature of these games because it is a social game. We saw this on Survivor Season 39 with the problematic outcome of that season and production not doing anything until it happened to one of the production team members. So Alyssa continues to be problematic in the house when it comes to Kyle, and her stalker tendencies almost may have hurt the leftovers, because Brittany, Michael, Kyle, and Monty were in the have-not room talking game. And of course, Alyssa, one thing Alyssa's going to do in this game, since her game revolves around Kyle, is Alyssa's going to find where Kyle is in the house, and she awkwardly walked in on them talking in the have-not room.
I'm not even convinced about that, though. I feel like it could be. What's happening?
Sorry, I was just trying to figure out what everyone was. And they're all right here.
The leftovers did talk too long in that room and probably should have known better. But the leftovers are also kind of getting on my nerves a little when it comes to wanting to keep this all such a secret. I mean, I get the reasons why, because then you can try to manipulate the other side to turn on each other, which they're still trying to do. But I do feel like eventually, if Alyssa would talk more game with other people and not just talk about Kyle, and if Nicole and Daniel would sit down and think, they could probably put together already a lot of these leftovers. Although Nicole still thinks Joseph has no game and is lost in this game. Nicole's lost ass doing a whole lot of projecting. But also because of Alyssa's stalking nature of Kyle, Kyle is pushing for her to go this week. And a lot of it has to do with because, of course, he feels uncomfortable with Alyssa, so he has every reason to want Alyssa out, honestly. However, I also feel like he doesn't want to sit on the block next to Daniel, which is something I'm just not understanding about Kyle's game. Kyle took all of these risks to push himself to the forefront of this game and have a lot of power, but if he's going to sit on the block, he should want to do that sooner rather than later, because the later this game gets, if players like Joseph and Brittany are still around, I would say Michael too, but I think he's close with Kyle for now. But I think those two players would push for Kyle to go if he's on the block a little bit later in this game, because I do think they have developed enough game IQ to see that, I think, eventually. So I think Kyle should want to sit next to Daniel so Daniel could go soon. I also understand why the leftovers, like Joseph especially, is pushing for Nicole to go, because they should split up Nicole and Daniel while they can. Because if either Nicole or Daniel do win HOH next week and they get out Alyssa this week, then that duo is staying together going into jury, which is going to make the jury portion of the game harder, but also going to have those two on the jury, which is going to be able to sway a jury. If both of them make jury, Taylor's not winning this game. So on one hand, I understand why Taylor doesn't want to sit on the block yet again, because she's done it so much. But similar to Kyle, now would be a good time to sit on the block again so that Nicole can go. For Taylor's game, look, this is going to be controversial, probably, but Taylor's too nice. I'm sorry. Taylor is too nice to terrible people. And in order for Taylor to ever have a shot at winning this season, she's going to have to develop some savagery. And she's just not showing her ability to be savage. So I understand why she doesn't want to sit on the block yet again so Nicole can go. But it would actually benefit her game more than a lot of other players in the leftovers to sever Nicole and Daniel sooner rather than later. And also, it's bad if Alyssa and Kyle are together in the jury house if she continues to be obsessed and push sexual assault, although I don't foresee Kyle being in the jury house ever, and if he is, it's going to be very late in the game. But it's also very bad. I don't want to think about Daniel and Taylor being in the jury house without us actually seeing any of it, because Daniel's a total weirdo for sure. So I don't want that to happen either. So I would want them to break up Nicole and Daniel this week, but they're being pussies about it, honestly. I understand why Kyle is pushing for Alyssa to go, but for the rest of the leftovers, it's not making a whole lot of sense to me. They think that Alyssa is the glue to the other side because she has a good or decent social game, but there is no glue to the other side. The glue to the other side is that their games revolve around Taylor. That is the only glue that they have. The best thing going, in my opinion, for the other side right now, and possibly for the leftovers, is that Jasmine was picked for slop. And before the sensitive Sallys say anything, I'm not fat shaming Jasmine. I am speaking facts here. Jasmine's game revolves around her appetite, because all this woman does is eat wings and then make other people cook for her, whether it's dinner or cookies, and then she complains about the food. So A, she's ungrateful, but B, she eats a lot. She does. She will eat weird things like popsicles and chips at the same time. She has a bit of an issue here. It's just the facts. And now she's on slop, and she didn't want to be on slop. She cried about wanting to not be on slop. She wanted to be one of the last people, but haha, Taylor is. She's gonna get worse this week. She's going to be on slop and pissy this entire week, and she went to bed last night. She was downing pickles, trying to get ready for slop, and she went to bed with the pickles right beside her. Jasmine.
I like pickles, so that helps.
Jasmine has issues. It's just fact. She is a very mean person. She objectively hates herself, and she gets out her stress. She stress eats. It's just facts. So her being on slop this week is going to stress her out even more, I think, and I look forward to her downfall. I look forward to her spirals. I do. It brings joy to my heart. It really does. Lastly, let's talk a little bit more leftover dynamics, because I see a lot of people saying Joseph's doing too much. He's doing too much on one thing. I've gave a lot of credit to Joseph in the last week, but I will say him still pushing for Taylor to be on the block this week while also pushing her as a target to people like Terrence is doing too much to keep the anti-Taylor drive alive in the house, which is ugly. And I think he also said that he wouldn't make Taylor a shield for this alliance, and then is going ahead and doing that, which is how people lose jury votes if that ever comes out to Taylor. Although Taylor is too nice, like I said. But I don't think that's great social gameplay from Joseph there. However, him pushing his own agenda isn't exactly bad gameplay, and it's kind of the right move. Nicole or Daniel should go this week for the leftovers, because keeping a duo together is not smart. And sure, this duo does not have any power right now this week, but in future weeks, they very well could. Now, as long as this twist is going on, the leftovers should be safe. I hope this twist ends after next week, because I think it's stupid. And I assume jury should be starting. It needs to end at the beginning of jury. Open the game up. I understand why they're doing it, because they like to protect the big alliance. And in this occasion, the big alliance is rootable for most people. But I still am not a fan of big alliances. And this is why I think Joseph isn't doing too much. People want to say this is not good game moves for Joseph because he's doing too much. But in reality, it's just not good game moves when you're in a big alliance. This alliance is too big. 7 people is a lot of people for everyone to have their own agendas. And Joseph, they can't always be talking to each other if they're trying to hide their alliance. So this is one of the big problems. Problem number 7,976 with big alliance gameplay, because it hinders your own gameplay. So now Joseph is trying to do his own thing because he thought this was the plan earlier in the day, when last night it was changing because other members of the leftovers were discussing it, but Joseph is still going with the original plan because there's too many people in this alliance and things change. And they can't always talk at all times. They're not always together in the same room that often. So it makes it very difficult. It also is why the Cookout did such a great job and why they are the best alliance in Big Brother history, because they were able to not talk for the vast majority of the season, but still stay on the same plan. But Joseph's just trying to do his own agenda, and which I don't hate. I do hate him using Taylor as a shield when he said he wouldn't, because the vibe for Taylor in this game is still ugly, so I don't like that side of it. But I don't think Joseph is doing too much for his own game. It's just that he is locked in this big alliance now, and that makes everyone's game stifled. I also have to commend Turner for being the HOH that made the big move last week, and him doing a pretty good job of going right back under the radar. He was under the radar before this big move, and it seems like that didn't really change. I mean, I think Nicole talked about pushing Turner as who should be the target this week to Monty, but other than her, I think Turner will go right back down under the radar, which makes him a dangerous player. I still think Turner and Taylor need to develop a stronger game relationship, and I think it needs to be this week, because if it doesn't be this week, I think both of their chances at winning this game are going to start slipping away. I mean, a lot will change in this game, but some people are set up a whole lot better socially than Turner and Taylor. They need each other in the game. But as it stands this week, at the time of recording this video, Monty is supposed to put up Indy and Alyssa, get out one of the haters, and they're not going to break up the duo of Nicole and Daniel because Kyle's pushing for Alyssa because she is sexually assaulting him. For a lot of the other leftovers, though, breaking up Daniel and Nicole on a game level is probably what they should be doing. But some things are bigger than game. But I also think getting Daniel out should be bigger than game 2. They did acknowledge, players like Kyle and Joseph, that Daniel shouldn't sleep in the bed next to Taylor, so Joseph did. I see people pushing for a Joseph-Taylor showmance because they do want to flirt with each other. We'll see how I feel about that, but for now, that's all I gotta say for the past 2 days of feeds.
I actually gain weight when I don't eat, but it is what it is.
You gain weight when you don't eat? How does that work?
Like if I don't eat 3 meals or like 5 meals, then I will gain weight.
Really?
That's why I don't do intermittent fast.
Oh, interesting.